Happy Tuesday. Marketing news show. The Breaking and Entering show is live right now. Welcome to it. First story, Gino, NASA, Artemis. This space launch. There's two big brand winners I want to talk about real quick before we get into the 2-minute drill. iPhone and Nutella. Thoughts?
iPhone and Nutella are crushing it right now. They have a golden opportunity. Did they have an official launch, or is right now the buildup of social media commenting on these two things?
Two natural, two organic
opportunities.
Opportunities here. The NASA Artemis, they're taking the famous pictures of Earth shot from the spaceship and of the moon shot on iPhone. Someone asked in the comments how they took the pictures, and they said iPhone. And then Nutella, you see it go through during the live stream. They're doing it. People were really tuned into this. Nutella gets a moment. So now the marketing brain, Gino, before we get into the 2-minute drill, quick reaction. If you're Nutella, how are you taking advantage of this?
Listen, if I'm Nutella here, I'm keeping the same product and doing a new label and launching that, Jack.
New product?
Same product, new label.
New label.
New label, something with the moon or something like that. This is out of this world.
Moon edition. This Nutella is out of this world. Let's get into the 2-minute drill, Gino. This is the news topics, 2 minutes each topic of everything you need to know in marketing news happening right now. Let's kick it off. First up, we got LinkedIn is trying to buy Beehive. They're not trying to right now. It was reported that they tried to
buy Beehive here. And this is interesting here. Beehive is obviously growing a lot of attraction here. And just like Beehive and Substack, a couple of these stories here are leading into like the creator economy ecosystem here. But Jack, what are your takes on this?
Well, right now, new media, hottest topic ever. Everyone and their mother in the media world is talking about how OpenAI just bought TBPN. We're getting comments. People are asking us
if Omnicom is going to
buy us. I think that it's worth discussing. I would love
official statement coming soon.
Official statement coming soon. We can talk more about it maybe after the show, but. If anyone from Omnicom would like to have a live negotiation on this show, we would be open to it. But let's get back to it. LinkedIn trying to buy Beehive. LinkedIn, a weird social media site. It's been taboo. It's been hard to figure out. This makes sense to me. LinkedIn has a built-in newsletter platform. Beehive has accelerated their growth of their platform and seems to have the tech figured out, so to speak. But when you saw this, how was your reaction?
It makes sense to me. I know I use the LinkedIn newsletter feature here, but as a brand itself, revenue-wise, as of January 20th, they're expected to double, for this year, they're expected to double revenue to $50 million by the end of this year, Beehive.
Beehive, yeah, they're on.
So it's profitable.
So this is one of those news stories where if you're Beehive, you probably aren't seriously considering this. This is all speculation by me. I wouldn't necessarily when you're on such a trajectory of growth, like Beehive, they've got so much going on in their own right, but LinkedIn, owned by Microsoft, probably has a good war chest of capital that they could deploy. So I'm sure it was an interesting offer, but this makes Beehive look amazing.
Yes, it does.
And it also kind of makes LinkedIn look good to think okay, they are forward thinking in the sense of we want to stay ahead of the game, ahead of the curve when it comes to media and how we're showing up.
Substack, Beehive, it seems like everybody has a newsletter. Jack, what are your thoughts on that?
Everyone's got a newsletter. Who's going to buy Substack? That's the question.
Really?
Next 2-minute drill, next topic. Mr. Beast hit 1 million people on a live stream. Gino, live stream is coming for us all, whether you like it or not. But did you have a chance to look into this?
Yeah, so he brought in a couple of super famous live streamers, Pokemon, Ludwig, and Phantom Tax, Jack. You know that here?
Oh, right.
And they competed to give away $1 million to one of their followers. So bringing in the community of influencers within it, and then they also tried to compete for it. At the end of the day, do we want to look at this more macro?
Well, I was going to say the kicker here, it's a very Mr. Beast thing, but what he did that was different is he ended the video on a cliffhanger and said to see how this ends, who wins the money, go and watch our live stream that's coming out tomorrow. And it worked tremendously. It got 1 million people all concurring. It broke YouTube's chat function. It broke the servers. And it is a testament to the ability that people will show up for a live stream if it's compelling enough. You have the Mr. Beast factor, you have the influencers a part of it factor, you have the monetary thing where if you were in the chat, if you were in the chat, you had the opportunity. He was giving out $1,000 left and right to people. But still, there's plenty of those kind of cash situations. But you get 1 million people into a live stream, it proves a concept that I think other brands are going to mimic now.
That's right. And what's going on with live stream here? Well, one note was, as the rise of AI, fake stuff is going on, the slopification of social media here. The hypothesis is people are craving that live experience.
Yeah,
Makes sense to me.
Of course, and if you, I mean, listen, as an advocate for live streaming, we've put our eggs into that basket where it's like, you're the antidote. There's like when everything else zigs with AI content, you gotta zag, do the thing that's the most opposite of that, which is real life live streaming. Mr. Beast, known for kind of like being the first to take these big swings and big risks, and it paid off for him, and so now we're gonna see like 1 million live streams, I imagine, from other creators, and then in a year from now from brands.
That's right.
Instagram Shop is here. You can get affiliate links. You can now tie it directly to Instagram. So if it's a TikTok Shop.
TikTok Shop here, you can earn money based off those people that are buying the products here. Let's break down some facts for you, Jack. I did a little bit of homework. TikTok, 1.7 billion users. Instagram, 3 billion monthly users here. So in general, 29.6% affiliate marketing happens on TikTok. This is what shocked me. 78% of people on TikTok report purchasing a product after seeing it in a creator content. I want to get a zoom in, if that's possible, on Jack's hair, because Jack uses Flow Bros. Jack, talk to me about Flow Bros.
Well, Flow
Not
Bros,
a sponsor.
I got it from TikTok. I found it on TikTok, and I bought it because I saw it. I saw a video of this beautiful, luscious hair. I was like, I think I can achieve that. The other thing I want to mention, Gary Vee, vindicated.
Yes,
Gary Vee has been on live shopping for the last year straight. He's been like fucking get on TikTok live because it's the fucking future. And the second the brands wake up, they're gonna be first to making $1 billion before they're 30 years old.
But Gary, I'm curious because it's saying here that it's going to be on Reels. Now, are you forecasting that this will get one step closer to live?
Listen, fucking Reels are a testing ground, as we all know. If you're not testing your content or an organic social, you're fucking up, and you're gonna fucking fail. So
nicely done.
It's gonna get to live.
It's gonna get
rather than later.
So it's gonna get to live. Thank you, Gary Vee. That was Gary Vee's segment
That was Gary
on
Vee.
the show.
And Gary Vee, thank you again for joining. But truly, you're gonna see. I think that live shopping truly on TikTok is kind of a nice experience for a user. I think that there's a lot of stuff that happens that's very predatory on social media when it comes to promotions and whatnot. But like we were doing this on TV. There's live shopping on TV, like QVC and all that crap. Like you were seeing that happening, and those are extremely entertaining. So I don't hate this. I don't think it's like a doomer kind of look at it. I'm interested to see how it plays out, and hopefully a bunch of creators are going to get paid.
That's right.
So Coca-Cola, Hilltop is back. Gio, can you give us a little history lesson?
I'd like to buy the world a Coke. Okay, so in 1971, we saw the first iteration of this ad. Masterpiece, Jack. Really bringing together the world and like celebrating peace and unity. You got the hippie era here. And it's not so much directly selling Coca-Cola as much as a feeling that really kind of led to like purpose marketing in 1971 done by McCann Erickson, ladies and gentlemen. Fast forward to today, what is it, 2026, Jack? We see a new iteration of the spot here. This time it's focused on America's 250th anniversary, birthday, as you will here. So we're seeing a new iteration. Jack, what are your thoughts?
Well, this is the song itself. The bringing back the Hilltop is it's a good kind of move. The question though, do you think that like the everyday consumer is going to make the connection from this song to the song from the 70s?
I would freaking hope so if they watch this show.
I am skeptical.
You're skeptical?
But I still
think
Mad
Men also popularized this spot.
That's fair, and Mad Men is having a moment. And the other thing too is I think it still kind of accomplishes a goal without having to like fully lean on the nostalgia of it. To me, this is like one of those sequels that you watch where someone will tell you don't have to watch the first movie to appreciate the sequel. And they're going for it. And like it's a massive campaign. I didn't actually expect Coca-Cola to lean into the America 250 as much as they are right now. They're doing the custom cans as well, where
who else did that? The custom cans.
Coca-Cola.
Was it Budweiser?
Budweiser did it with MLB
stadiums.
Teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. So customizing the can, you offered it up to Nutella earlier for the spaceship thing, but a different can, different state. I'm not like, holy shit, this is the greatest thing ever, but I think that like it accomplishes a goal. I think it makes sense. I think it's a Coca-Cola campaign in the sense that we'll see the tail all throughout the summer.
Absolutely.
And like that's what's going to be.
I mean, it's a large brand. It's a large country here. It's a large campaign. I think it's going to accomplish the goals.
Large country. People forget.
It's pretty large.
So they're leaning into it. the next thing, Gino, McDonald's CEO response.
This was fantastic. We saw this exclusive on the Wall Street Journal. It was like an 11-minute interview responding to the infamous bite, where he went viral for this tiny bite. You recreated it on this show, Jack. I think a lot of people recreate it. The different CEOs of different fast food brands also stepped up to the challenge to show what a true CEO takes a bite of a burger that looks like this.
He's like wearing denim jeans. I'm just like you guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the response here, what were some of the call-out moments in your mind from this interview?
My reaction to it is like, why? Why do this? I mean, it's like a month later. I don't know what, I think this is like, this feels not necessarily as something that's for the best interests of McDonald's as a company to like push sales forward. It feels more like a personal reputational moment for him to save face among his peers, because ultimately, is a McDonald's consumer going to be reading the Wall Street Journal and watching Wall Street Journal exclusives about CEOs? No, I don't think so. And it's so late after that happened that you're like, I forgot about this, and now I'm reminded of it.
Yeah, I think it is interesting, like the timing, but also the interview, like kind of pivoted away from that conversation to kind of go into the broader strategy of McDonald's today, like talking about the pricing structure. They're going to focus on lower costs of price, also like the experience of going into McDonald's. So they kind of broadened the interview as well.
Yeah, but but obviously the Wall Street Journal is looking to take advantage of the fact, like not to their fault, I would do the same thing. Mm-hmm. So you're getting the McDonald's CEO and you're like, yes, we can talk about the broader strategy, but like the headline's gonna be the burger eat. So if you're McDonald's, I don't think I would do this interview. Like I would kind of like stay under the radar for a little bit, get things back to normal, and then if anything, lean into it and be funny about it.
Yeah, they had that quick response here, like take a bite out of our product. I think they did that quick tweet response. And then we saw this one. I think it was really interesting to say basically we don't control as much as the brand now as marketers with the rise of social media. The consumer is very much a part of what the brand looks and feels
100%.
like.
And I think you need to relinquish control.
Yes.
Like you don't have control.
You don't. Yeah.
All right, last one.
You don't have any control, Chris.
Kanye has been blocked. So the original story that we're going to talk about was that all these brands are pulling out of their sponsorship for the London Music Festival. It's called Wireless. Yeah. It's the biggest festival in England, I believe. And that was the story. Every brand started with Pepsi, and then every other brand that's big is following suit. And just before we started going live, the UK blocked Kanye West from entering the country.
He's out. He's out here. Yeah, so sponsors dropped. It was like Pepsi, Diageo, they started dropping. This was all, I think what the first step of this was UK Prime Minister Starmer publicly criticized Kanye performing, and then brands started to drop out. And now as of today, he's blocked from entering the country?
Yeah, so this is an interesting like case study into how decisions are affected by other factors outside of just like personal like government stuff, because if they like nothing has changed with Kanye it's not like he's done something crazier in the past week. So they knew he was going to be coming for however long this has been booked. I actually don't know that for sure because I feel like it's kind of sometimes it gets booked. Ross, you can fact check me as to how long Kanye has been booked on this show, on this tour. But anyways, the brands follow suit, and then there's this just overwhelming pressure, and then the government steps in, and they're like, no Kanye.
Kanye.
So interesting moment. There's been a lot of these where personalities or like big figures, you have brands pull out. I mean, nothing to the extent of someone who's just polarizing and like crazy as Kanye, but it's a good reminder for brands in terms of like the things you can control, right?
Yeah.
We just talked about something like on social media, fan reactions is maybe something more out of control, but when it comes to these big corporate sponsorships and tying yourself to certain events, you do have control over that. You gotta do your research.
You do have control, and then you have influence too. The response from that, getting him pulled from the concert here, directly I think correlated to the amount of brands that pulled out of the pulled out a sponsor.
That's right. Well, that was a 2-minute drill.
Okay.
That was a 2-minute drill. We are going to bring in a very special guest, Gino. Do you want to introduce us?
Yes. So Hellmann's had a great partnership with Mr. Doodle here. When this past Easter, instead of going egg hunting in your front or backyard here, you can actually go hunting for eggs on the Hellmann's jars themselves. Custom creations from a fantastic artist, really fascinating artist, Jack, caught my mind here. However, they tapped Mr. Doodle to customize these jars here with his hand-painted art on these little tiny eggs here, which we'll have photos of.
Well, I think before we start talking with Mr. Doodle, let's show the people the spot, the little ad around it to give a little bit of context, and then we'll have Mr. Doodle in to speak with us about it. Only 100 jars, Gino. Individually hand decorated by Mr. Doodle. So that was it, a little different take, and so now we bring in Mr. Doodle. Mr. Doodle, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Appreciate it. You're looking great here. Big fan of your work. Thank you for joining the show. And I got to kick things off here, Jack. Mr. Doodle, you're known for covering your house and massive canvases with your work here. So what was the creative challenge like shrinking your style down to this little tiny egg?
Yeah, it was a bit different for me because usually people want me to draw on a massive wall or something big, and this was interesting because the surface was so small that when we first heard about this project, we kind of thought, wow, that's like we were trying to imagine how small the drawings would have to be, and it was definitely something new and different, and to work in such an intricate way is something I haven't done for years since I was, I guess, like a late teenager or something. So it was fun though. It was a good challenge.
Yeah, when you initially were reached out to about this idea, was it a little nerve-wracking at first, knowing that it would be a very, very different from the scale that your previous projects have been made famous for?
It wasn't so much nerve-wracking. I just was trying to work out how it would work and how many combinations of drawings we could fit, within the label itself. How many pieces could go on there, and how many I could draw that would go into the kind of composition and puzzle together, like whether it would be one character or several, and how much they could vary. But also trying to work out the best method of working onto the labels where when they would kind of go onto the jars that wouldn't smudge or anything like that, because the pens I usually use are much wider and kind of these permanent ink pens, and it had to be something that would work specifically for this. But yeah, it wasn't nerve-wracking. It was a good challenge, and was happy to do it. To take something so kind of iconic that people recognize and change it slightly with my own doodles was a really fun kind of mission to take on.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're opening my eyes to the fact that there are eggs on the label. I don't think that people realize that on the Hellmann's label that there's eggs, but now they'll be reminded for forever. And I was going to bring up too your point. The first thing I thought of when I saw handwritten and I saw the actual label, we got to be worried about the smudge factor, right?
The smudge factor.
I mean, do you know how that got figured out and sorted to make sure it didn't smudge?
Yeah, so I did lots of tests with different thicknesses of pens, and tried to buy as many different ones that I could source as possible, and tested a bunch of them, and the one we ended up with worked well. So it was about choosing the right thickness as well as what actually would stay on the label. But yeah, it was really fun project and nice thing to do around Easter time, and I love working on these things that kind of people know so well, but changing them and also bringing art into people's homes and unexpected places. Being able to open your fridge and find an artwork is It's like a fun place for artwork to be. I think it's nice to have it outside of the gallery.
Absolutely. And I was going to ask you about like the decision to work on this. So like obviously you built a super impressive audience as an artist. So can you tell me a little more, like when a brand like Hellmann's comes to you, what are the check boxes that you have to hit in order to say yes to a deal like this?
For me, I'm always kind of looking for something that we haven't necessarily done before. Like I have a small team here and it's all family really, like with my dad and brother work as my manager, and my ex school teacher who was my art teacher works as my creative director. And when we get a new project come in, we kind of look at it and think, have we done something like this before? Does this kind of thing exist in the world? Does it excite us? Is it fun? And also, is it kind of like it's important to me to not like have too much of a like any kind of political message or social message with my work. I want it to feel really universal and kind of for anyone really, and it should always feel quite fun. So this ticked all those boxes really. So that's the kind of thought process we'd have when something like this comes along.
I wanted to ask about that. Why do you think that your artwork resonates with millions and millions of people?
I guess it's quite kind of relatively simple to understand like what it is that I'm doing. I guess when I'm drawing like a shape or a character and it's got a happy face, it's something that we kind of know, like as a little kid you kind of experience that kind of thing in cartoons and video games and stuff, because it doesn't have such a deep layers of thinking or messaging or like a harder concept to grasp, then it kind of opens it up to being really as accessible for like a baby or a child as it is like someone in like an elderly person, I guess, or a higher educated or whatever. It could be anyone from any place can understand what it is, I guess.
Yeah, and I've read that you really, I think, based on what I've read, appreciate the process of it. For you, can you expand on that? Like the process of creating the art is the thing that you get most excited about. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely true. For me, like putting pen to paper or walls or whatever it is when I draw over my house, I really love that process of just seeing the characters come to life and being kind of like seeing what the audience sees when I make these videos, and just experiencing that and getting that satisfaction of making this like imaginary world where everyone's kind of happy and having a good time is just it's a simple pleasure, but it makes me feel really good.
Yeah, because this conversation comes up more and more in the advertising and marketing world of wanting to show your work, in a sense. Like the process of creating is actually the art itself. Do you subscribe to a similar belief that like especially in today's day and age with, you can make like AI content, but yours is obviously very human driven. It's like you're physically drawing. So the idea of creating process as art, how beneficial is that, and how important has that been for your career and for what you've been able to do and build?
Oh, I'd say, it's really important. For me, because now we can see the documentation of how artwork is made through just filming on your phone, time lapses or live streaming the process. You can let like the whole world into your studio through social media or advertising or anything, I guess, like showing that process through video and showing like a blank surface becoming covered. And like when I was drawing on the eggs, like showing how they looked at first, and the whole thing of, you can see everything and there's no kind of lies there's no hidden trick, and being able to let people in into that process as a performance is really as important, or if not more important, than the final artwork, because people kind of get to see that story. And I love doing that live in front of people. It's like a really kind of special thing to be able to do. And I think the days of kind of having just artwork in a gallery and not seeing the artist and not seeing how it's made is kind of something starting to become more of the past, I guess.
Yeah, 100%.
Do I have time for one more?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the finale question, the Gino finale question.
So Your advice, what is your advice to young creators who are now exploring this brand partnerships world?
Well, I guess it's still a relatively new thing in a way. I mean, it was only in the last kind of 100 years or so where you'd see things like artists working with brands, and that being quite unusual for the art world. And it's, I guess, still, relatively like a learning curve for most people. And a lot of people are kind of afraid to do it because they think it's maybe wrong for artwork and a commercial world to mix. But I think for me, it's all about like accessibility and bringing art out of the gallery and out of a museum to people's homes and to products that we can engage with, and we can make a more exciting looking world through bringing art to all these different surfaces that are constantly around us in a commercial world. So I think the world's kind of like a canvas, so if you treat it that way, you open all these possibilities up.
It's beautiful. And I loved what you said about opening your fridge and being able to have access to the artwork as well. I think that's so cool, and I imagine, I think it's a great mindset, Mr. Doodle. I appreciate that, especially for someone like us, maybe who, we're the consumers of the art. I want to have access to more art.
Oh, nice one, definitely.
Nicely done.
Well,
Jack.
thank you, Mr.
Nicely
Doodle.
done to you, Mr. Doodle.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on this show and working with VML and Hellmann to create this amazing piece.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
My pleasure, thanks. So nice to talk to you guys. Thank
Nice
you.
to meet you as well. Have a great day. That was Mr. Doodle. I want
Cool.
to start every single one of my days
Yeah.
speaking with him. What a joy. What a breath of fresh air, Gino.
That's a real creative right there,
Yeah,
Jack.
that's exactly.
Oh, I wrote a quote down. The man who loves to walk will walk farther than the man with a destination.
Yes, love that. Mr. Doodle is walking, and he's walking further than all
Yeah,
of
you
us.
said about the process.
Right.
I love the process.
Wait, can you repeat that one more
The
time?
man who loves to walk will walk farther than the man with a destination.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
Let's bring in our next guest. What do you say, Jack?
Next story, I am personally excited about this one because Candice Drakeford is the creative director for the WNBA. What a job. What a cool job.
That is a cool
I mean,
job.
it's just exciting just off the jump. Just the title alone should get people to lean in a little
Yep.
bit. But
There's
the
something going on.
WNBA is celebrating their 30th year. 30 years of the W, and they've got an exciting campaign that's dropping today, and then some more stuff potentially in the works later on. But
Was that a tease of some sort?
there is. I mean, you
Come
imagine
on.
like it's the 30th year. It's the 30th year.
You think more is
It's a
going to
big
come.
deal.
That's a fair assumption.
So there's goats. There's a lot of stuff involved. I think the best way of doing this will be we'll show the commercial, the ad, the spot that just dropped, and then we'll bring in Candice, the creative director of the WNBA, to talk to us about what it's like to creative direct for the WNBA.
Not all kids become goats. Are you kidding me? Because goats aren't just born, they're raised. We teach them to stay hungry.
Right through the chest.
Get loud. Build others up, even if it means knocking them down.
Took her breath away.
To stay confident and stay humble. Sometimes. Because that all-time part of greatest of all time, it includes the future.
There's more where 30 came from. Here we go. Bring her in. That's Candice Drakeford. Candice Drakeford, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. How are y'all?
Doing it really well. How are you? How are things? It's a big day, right?
It's a big day. I'm doing great. Really excited. Really tired, but really excited.
Congrats to making it to launch day. Before we get into the work, I guess what was the brief for the 30th? Like, what did you guys all want to achieve and launch in the world?
It was very much, hey, we're hitting 30 years. We got to do something cool. That was pretty much the brief, and we just ran from there.
I love
Wonderful.
that. For you as a creative director, do you think you thrive more in those situations where it's maybe a little bit looser? Like let's make something cool. It's the 30th year, or is it preferred when you're in those situations to have something more tighter?
I think it's a little bit of both, right? Like, yeah, give me an open brief so I can just go crazy, but also give me a sandbox to play in so I know my rules and boundaries. That way I can break them. But yeah, I think
It's not fun to break a rule that doesn't exist.
yeah, right. Like, I give me some rules to break. You got to make it fun for me. Don't make it
Is that like to keep yourself, like, you've obviously had a ton of success. You've worked on a lot of different amazing brands. you're kind of giving yourself rules in this situation. You're like creating your own sandbox. Is that a challenge that you've kind of had to figure out over your career versus like being put in the sandbox?
It is, especially like when you go on the in-house side, like I am here with the W, and you start to work with different outside agencies and external partners. So I become the person that's making some of the sandbox. Like now I'm making the rules, which is crazy. So yeah, it's fun, it's challenging, it's new. Like to be able to to give that guidance to whoever we're working alongside. But it's a lot of fun. I'm very blessed, I'll say.
So let's go into it then. So what is launching today in your own words?
It's a campaign that celebrates season 30.
Love it.
Season 30. It's
Season
as simple as
30.
that. It's cool as hell. Yeah, literal goats. And then you worked with an agency on this. Can you talk about that? What was that experience like for you, especially being in-house after being on the agency side for a while?
Yeah, so we reached out. We did a little bit of a brief to talk to a couple agencies to see to find us a really good partner. I just hit a year with the W, so I'm still finding a little bit of my footing and figuring out the creative partners I like to work with. And we ended up landing on Lucky Generals, who has been absolutely amazing to us. They have been the best creative partners. I very much view them as an extension of our own in-house creative team. So yeah, when we got on with them after the first meeting, it was very clear that that's who we wanted to work with. Outside of just the creative that they presented, just the amount of work that they put into bringing us part of the pitch, but also you could tell immediately the amount of passion that they had for the league and for women's sports. Like this wasn't just going to be another brand that they had on their list. It was going to be something that they were really going to throw weight behind, and that became very clear. And that's something that I look for in a creative partner, and that obviously the agency or that the league likes to work with.
Yeah, there's we've talked with people in the past that have worked on sports leagues like the NHL, and we found, and there's always different team setups, and you have people that are in the NHL situation where the person we talked to, they were a massive hockey fan. They wanted to work on the NHL account since they were a kid growing up, and then her partner knew nothing really about the NHL, but they ended up creating really great work. How do you feel about that, especially for sports, something that requires immense fandom? Do you feel like having a balance of people that grew up watching the W and then people who really aren't sports fans is a good mix, or what have you found that's been the most successful?
I think it's a good mix, to be honest. You don't with anything, you don't want too much of one thing, right? Like if I get the person that comes in here and is like, this is my life, I love the thing, you become way too close to the work, and I think that's hard to get good work out of. And then if you have somebody that's just like, I really don't care about the league, this is a job for me, I just have to make these things for them. I don't want that, right? You find that sweet spot of someone that really just likes to make good work, obviously, one, and then two, is passionate about the work that they're doing, regardless of who they're doing it for. I think it's an added bonus when somebody that is either knowledgeable of the league or excited to get more knowledge about the league. I'm okay with somebody not being the most knowledgeable, but if there's the excitement there, we can work with that. I can always work with that because there's still that, we're always going to be learning about our league and about the people and our fans around us. So you're learning in real time with me, to be quite honest. So that, I think it's a good balance to have.
Yeah.
So, to go back to the campaign, I'm curious. So you're hitting the 30th anniversary. How do you balance out honoring the past, mentioning celebrating the current, present, and also looking forward to the future?
Yeah, that was honestly our, I would say our biggest talking point for this campaign as we were developing the thing out. How do we bridge, that gap of legacy of 30 years with, the now and with the future? And we don't want to alienate anybody, right? You don't want to, tell the fans that they've been here for the last 30 years, okay, thanks for that. We're on to the new folks now, right? But you also don't want to have these new fans kind of come in and feel like there's a large barrier to entry to be a fan. So there was a lot of conversation about finding that sweet spot of really showing and honoring that heritage without it becoming a history lesson, and then also celebrating what's coming. And so I think we found that balance with our campaign. Like, we were always talking about a percentage of like what's now and what's then, and like we pulled those levers where we needed to, and so I think it made for a really great campaign that balances both of those for us really well.
Yeah, I think to do a quick glaze right now, the like using an incredible ambassador that's represented the league so well in the past, like Cheryl Swoops, I feel like accomplishes that super well. Like bringing in someone, I think there's other
anchor.
Yeah, an anchor, and it kind of leads me into my question. I am so, for some reason, I went on such a rabbit hole around this topic of like the idea of marketing personal brands in the league, but then also I feel like the deepest fandoms come from team fandoms. So like if I am a fan of an individual player, I might not necessarily care that much about this, like their overall team success as opposed to that personal success. But I feel like when I'm deeply involved in a league, it's because I'm a really big fan of a certain team. Candice, am I going crazy? Is this something that is something that's considered when it comes to marketing?
It's something that's considered, but it's hard to nail down, right? Because you have people that are just like ride or die for a team, and like we got to talk to those people. But then you have, like you said, the people that are like really like they go hard for this one specific person. They don't care what team that person is playing for. They don't care if that person is playing on the moon. They are there. They're going to show up in some way, shape, or form. And so talking to I'd say those two different groups of people is interesting. And I think what we do as a league, instead of trying to talk to them as separate entities, we kind of try to speak to their feelings, right? Like that's universal. There's a universal feeling of cheering for your favorite team. There's a universal feeling of cheering for your favorite player. And so instead of us like trying to nail down who it is or what team it is, or the feeling of it's just going to be teams, it's just going to be players that we're talking to, just getting that feeling of being a fan in general, I think is something that we try to do that helps us pretty much like talk to those two groups of people at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like that it could be, that almost feels more like a question for if you're doing the marketing or social for a specific team. I could see that, because I've spoken with someone in the past who helps run the social for like the Canadian Olympic basketball teams, and they were discussing the same thing, because within the team or everyone that's involved in that organization, all the players, you're almost part of the job is getting each individual player to enhance their own personal brand, because it ultimately lifts up everyone else. And then from a league perspective, of course, you have your legends of the game and your all-stars. I feel like that's probably how the W would think about it.
Yeah, and we try to lift everybody as we can, right? And then so like, because like you were just saying, as we lift people, that lifts the league as a whole. So the more I think we can bring eyes to these individual brands and to these teams, like that just brings us all kind of up. And obviously we have to play, we have to play neutral. We have to not show a bias, but definitely want to make sure that we're elevating the players and elevating the teams.
Yeah, I have my last question, especially now, a landmark moment for the WNBA with the collective bargaining agreement. A lot of buzz around that. A lot of buzz around just investment into women's sports, and a lot of buzz around brands getting involved into women's sports, and particularly the WNBA. So, what does that mean to you, Candice, as someone who is working as a creative director for the WNBA, to see this level? Are you seeing more involvement, more excitement from brands around the league in particular?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I know, like, we have people that are coming to partnerships every day, right? Mm-hmm. There's so many people that want to invest in the league, invest in women's sports, invest in women's basketball, and I think that's a very welcome thing. That's something that I feel like has probably been a long time coming as well. So I'm glad it's here. I'm glad that we're getting that recognition. And like I said, it just elevates the game. It elevates the league, elevates women's sports. So it's a good thing for us.
Fantastic.
I love it. So 30th anniversary, what are you most excited for the brand in the future?
I'm excited to bring in new fans and pretty much kind of show them around. I think that's kind of what we're trying to do with this campaign. Like I was saying earlier, like not making it a history lesson, but like definitely saying, hey, we've got some culture here, we've got some heritage here. Let me show you around, and then like welcome. Like you're here, you're in it with us. We're all taking the same journey together.
I love it.
Well, hey, we'll be on the lookout. Excited for this year. Excited for the Chicago Sky, Gino.
That's right, Jack.
We're a Chicago Sky.
I think we just
podcast.
We
just lost Angel Reese. So
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's okay because I'm a fan of the team.
You're a fan of the team. Yeah, see? He's like, I'm still here.
I'm ride or die. I'm ride or die. Well, Candice, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. Excited to see all the great stuff coming from the league in the next year. And congratulations on 30 years and the launch of this campaign from the WNBA in partnership with Lucky Generals as well.
Thank you so much for having me. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Candice Drakeford, WNBA Creative Director.
Boom.
That's cool. That's a cool job.
A lot of interest, a lot of hype.
A lot of interest, a lot of hype.
Love it.
Okay, next story. Gino, this is into our agency business, agency news, new business. I think this is an important story for people to be tuned into.
Yeah, so we got Britton Upham, who's going to be joining. He's the CEO of Austin Agency. That's Megara Jesse for you all here. And it's a tale as old as time. It's on agencies spending and investing on spec work to win a client. A lot of the times you have to woo the client before they even select you, show a bunch of the work that they will either buy or not buy, and can go up to $500,000, Jack, on these pitches to win this account.
From your experience, I mean, you've been in the walls and been maybe, alongside a new business. Is it as wild as
it is as wild and probably more wild because I wasn't in it that long. But when we were pitching for Super Bowl, all hands on deck. When we do these open pitches, everybody is dedicating time and resources to winning this business. And sometimes it's just for one spot, like Super Bowl here. But yeah, it's a crazy investment. I think we'll have on Britton to talk about it right now. Let's bring him in.
Britton, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Hello, gentlemen. I'm well. How are you?
Doing well, excited to chat. You were featured, I saw the article from our guy eScoops, Ewan, talking about what's the problem with pitch, with spec work. Can you, in your words, maybe just give us a little bit of clarity from your perspective as to what you're seeing are the issues currently with the pitch process and spec work?
Yeah, so I mean, look, pitching has always been, we just sort of talked about it, you guys mentioned, but like pitching's been part of this business forever, and it's often romanticized. It can even be fun, and I think it's sometimes useful in helping clients maybe make brave moves that they weren't considering, once they see something. And so there's a role for it, and we're not saying that agencies shouldn't pitch. We pitch a lot, but we are saying it's increasingly disorderly. It is crazy. It's often imbalanced, maybe not grounded, and not always probably ill will, but there just seems to be a lot of negligence out there. And I guess where this came up, and when I started talking to Ewan, was, I don't know, I've been doing this for 25 years. Every year or two, somebody like Zulu Alpha Kilo does a great video that makes it seem like we're insane. No other industry works like this. Or you go to a conference, one of the industry conferences, and there's a panel, and somebody says, "This madness needs to stop," and everyone's up on their feet and they're applauding. And even last year, Greg Hahn put a nice piece out about what ancestors can teach us about pitching, and it had like 250 likes and 28 comments. And I just, I've been seeing this over and over and over again, and the rallying and the excitement and the applause happens every time, and then we all go back to our desks and we get right back into the chair. Pitch rolls in and we fall to the weakest link, and we ultimately just surrender our dignity. Yeah. And it's kind of like, let's stop getting riled up and talking about it. Let's actually do something. And I do think there's a way forward where we can make a process more standard, built on a set of tiers that actually just makes it better for everyone, including clients. And that's what the conversation is right now.
So what was the high level process that people, competitors, agencies all across the world necessarily would have to agree on?
Yeah, and this is where like, I had a really good back and forth with you and stuff, but like I do see a way. So first of all, I should say like search consultants they're already helping in this process. Like, there are professional search consultants that some clients hire that we work with a lot, and they come in and they are about a fair and equitable process, and they have the experience and the maturity to be able to say, this is what's rightful to ask, this is going too far. They help the clients with the math. We run into that a lot, where it's sort of like, Gino, you mentioned a second ago, but the investment that we might make, it could be $500,000. That could eclipse the entire profit margin on the win for the next 2 or 3 years. And so sometimes we're in that place of trying to educate a client and say, how is that going to make sense? Like we have to right size this thing based on what the ask is, and based on what the reward is really. And so search consultants are great with that, but search consultants don't run all searches. And even among the search consultants, they all have their own bespoke processes, which can be pretty dizzying for agencies too. You kind of get yourself in fit shape for one, and then the other one's different. And there's an opportunity there. More and more pitches at the mid-size level to low-size level, which there's a lot of that work out there now with the fragmentation of this industry. A lot of those are going just direct from client to agency. A worse picture is when you see a jump ball on LinkedIn, a cattle call. Anybody interested?
Right.
And there's thousands of shops,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
So right now it's like this chum in the water kind of thing that's happening, where an opportunity is known and hundreds of agencies jump in. And what we're seeing in practice, in reality, is that when we get in, it's just extremely disorganized, where on a regular basis we'll see something like 15 agencies are in on the review, not at the RFP stage, but they're in on the review, 15 shops. And we ask all the questions up front, and if we see that, we won't participate because the odds are just way too long for the investment you're going to make and everything else. But sometimes it's not disclosed, or sometimes the picture changes. Again, search consultants manage that, but sometimes with some clients, that's not as well managed. Or time boxing. Time boxing can help a whole lot, where sometimes these things go on for 3-4 months. Maybe not even from the beginning is it planned that way, it just ends up that way. It's not managed.
So keeping those parameters on it as well.
Name a brief that any of us have gotten that's been a 4-month brief. The speed of business is like 3 weeks tops.
Right.
So that's not even practical. You should be, the practice of a pitch should feel like what it'll be like to work together. So time boxing helps a lot. It prevents an investment that the agency would make that's unrealistic. And then we just that goes on and on. We see lots of things around just how these things get managed with communication on the other side. We've had pitches that we've been involved in. We're in the final 3, and then we find out where it's gone because of the press release before the clients even called us. So there's a lot of clients don't operate that way,
Right.
But there is a lot of mayhem out there, and we want to clean it up. So to get to your question, so the details sort of matter for how you organize that stuff. But I feel like I see a flock to unlock strategy. So I think job number 1, get out there and let's build a consortium of a handful of agencies, some search consultants and some CMOs that want to get in on this question, this dilemma on how could we create a standard set of practices. In my mind, that's tiered based on how big the size of the reward is, or the size of the engagement is. Because if it's a giant, multi-year, huge AOR
Right.
thing, you probably want some time together to see if this thing's gonna work. Smaller should be smaller. And then let's build some tiers based on fee projections on how the engagement should work. Let's once we've penciled all that out together, all parties involved, let's start to list. Let's stand up an organization, a consortium that says these are the practices, these are the standards. We'll put it on a website somewhere with all of this broken out, the rules of engagement that are appropriate, fair for everybody involved. Put it up, and then I think we go door to door to door, or at one of the big conferences, or via an app, or however. We get agencies, the most active, regular participants in these pitches, to sign on. And the idea is, because nobody wants to be the first, the idea is if 80% of that list gets signed, then it becomes effective, and only until that point. So no risk to join. I see the vision. I want a part of the vision. I'd be in if everyone else is in.
Yes.
Right.
When everyone else is in, it unlocks. That logo of what the standards are goes up on every one of those agencies' websites. They say, I'm in, we're in, this is how we operate. If you wish to engage with us and everybody else, at this size we operate this way, this size we operate this way, at this size we operate this way. Go read the standard agreement, and hopefully everybody joins. If some other shops do not, I think there would be a lot of peer pressure to have them involved.
Interesting. Yeah, I was going to ask then, like, what's going to stop, let's say Jack is an agency owner. He's like, look at everybody in this thing. I'm just going to spec work the heck out of this thing.
Jack, come on, Jack.
Yeah,
I feel like
assigning a face to yes. I think this is a good. This is fair.
this is fair. I think that my answer on that is a bit like, we have trash cans, out on sidewalks, and we could all decide, why do I have to walk 2 more blocks to reach the trash can to throw the trash out when other people just throw it on the sidewalk?
Yeah.
And the answer is because we want a civil society. we want a good place to walk around.
Yeah.
And I think the industry at large, if you ask people, they would wish that this was right-sized more and more orderly, and that we're all giving up too much time that we could be giving to our paying clients, time that we could be giving to our families, and potentially just being really irresponsible with that time. We're throwing away profits before we've even gained them. And so it just doesn't make sense. And so I think everybody would love a new reality, and they're very comfortable being logical about how we could build that so everybody gets something out of it. But if you start breaking form, I would hope that just, there's sort of industry shade. It's just basically, do you really want to be that actor? I mean, look at the can, sort of fiasco last year on some of the sort of fraudulent entries and things. I don't think it felt great to be at some of those shops if, in cases where it was
got called out.
accurate.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like reputational risk is always
For sure.
is always a driver.
Are you going to call people out then if this is a thing? Are you going to call agencies out, Jack?
God, I mean, listen, if I find out, I think it.
Are you going to be an auditor?
Like at some point, like I guess it's funny, but like it kind of asks the question, like, can you get it to a point where that reputational risk is something like being a bad actor in that scenario will land you a front page press article, like calling you out. Because that's obvious. That's of course like
it's on the media.
If that
now.
happens,
It's on the media.
if that gets out and if people treat it as serious as maybe they should be, then it would matter. But it is. I think you bring up a good point, Britton, of like the brand side almost being as involved or being behind this, because that's, I think, ultimately how you get, like, bad actors are obviously just in it because they think they'll get the brand to give them the work. But if you have brands that are adhering to a certain set of standards, I think that changes things.
Yeah, you said it's, I believe you were quoted or you mentioned that you were referring to it as a buyer's market right now in the ad industry, in this pitching landscape, meaning buyers, I'm assuming brands are the buyers, correct? Like, and the agencies are the ones that are selling the service here, and it's a buyer's market. So like, what are we doing as ad agency professionals wrong in this whole matter?
I think we're not, one, I think we're letting competition and, dare I say, desperation sometimes get to the best of us. What are they doing over there? How far will they go? If that's the case, it's a competitive advantage. We need to go that far too. And in that case, we're getting played. And that's where coming together starts to help. I think that we have a right to. In a buyer's market, there are sellers. We are selling. There are buyers out there looking for what we have to sell. Let's recognize that is of value, and it can be of a premium. And let's have some confidence and dignity in representing our services. And let's help set a fair way to engage.
Love it.
And then I guess to wrap things up, I guess for just clarity and my own curiosity, it sounds like maybe it's a smaller amount of agencies that are primarily affected than what you might think. It's not necessarily every single agency that would benefit as much as maybe a core crew. Is that right, Britton? Is it kind of like it's affecting maybe one group of sized agencies over others?
I live in the mid-size shop
right.
space, and I've been a small shop, and so I would say that this group probably runs through this more often. I just have to agree. I imagine that the holding companies have the budgets and scale to take on this concern. But from what I feel like this is. I don't run into anybody in the agency industry that wouldn't like to reconsider how sizable their donations are, and or how some kind just varied the processes are. I truly mean, like, I think if we can get this down and include some other, include client side, really, leaders and some search consultants and such, that we can build something that is just clearer for everybody.
Right.
Why do we rewrite the book every time? I also would think that, clients that are out there looking for mid-sized shops on a direct model where they're, okay, we're going to stand up a review. It must start with, how do we want to run it? And yes, there's stuff published out there, and the 4As has provided some practices and things. And so maybe they turn to that, but maybe they don't. And maybe they've never run a search before. And why would we want to have them author something every time? That sounds inefficient and also time consuming. So if we could just have something that was already available that everyone could just subscribe to, I feel like it makes it easier on everyone. And a lot of what I think every agency is already doing this. I shouldn't say every, but most agencies are probably already doing this on a one-to-one conversation every time. We get a call. We pitch. We actively pitch. We pitched more stuff last year than we ever have. So we're out there doing it. But every conversation, it starts there, and we say, okay, what are you looking for in a partner? How many folks are involved? What if we were to win this? What's on the other side? What's your point of view on long-term relationships versus projects? How confident are you in that there might be more work beyond this work? It's a whole bunch of questions, and every agency is going through that, and then they're making a decision individually based on what they're hearing back each time. And if we could just sort of standardize a lot of that stuff to get it out of the way, it would be more efficient for everybody.
100%. Yeah, and it makes sense. And I think, and to your point, I mean, we've been to a lot of these marketing conferences. We've heard these panels can absolutely attest to that. I think it's one of the top issues or things that unanimously, it's like throwing throwing the trash out in the garbage can analogy. That's great. Anything else from you?
We applaud you for speaking up and coming on the show here. We wish you all the best in these efforts, and things like we're gonna have to do something about this.
Yeah, we gotta do something. Keep us updated, keep us in the loop, because excited to see this play out. Because to your point, a lot of people talk about it. Britton and the crew at McGarrett Jesse, they're actually doing something. So appreciate that, Britton, and thank you so much for coming on.
Can I ask one thing?
Yes.
Because I really think this starts with building a little collective of folks that want to work on this for a second. Start to work on what we think is a really good playbook. It only survives if it feels fair to everyone, including clients and everybody. So if anybody would like to get involved, email us at growth, just GROWTH, growth at mcj.co, CO, not com. We eliminated the M. So growth at mcj.co. Just email us and say, like, hey, I'd like to get in on that. Like, I'd like to get in on trying to sketch something, whether it's a search consultant, a client, or another agency. Like, that's where it starts. So we're looking for people to play with.
Sounds great. Yeah, we'll get that out there as well. Growth at mcj.co. No M at the end. They put it at the front. So we're all good there. Thank you, Britton, for coming on, and best of luck.
Thanks for giving this exposure. Nice to see you guys.
Good to see you, Britton.
Good to see you.
That was Britton Upham, the CEO of McGarrett Jesse, looking to do something. You gotta
do something.
When I think about whenever things like this come up, like professional services, something like management consulting, which is the game I spent some time in, Gino.
Oh yeah.
Where it's also a situation where you're pitching for business, and like the acronym RFP exists, but of course it's way different because
how is it different, Jack?
When you're pitching for like management consulting, you're kind of just pitching a framework that already exists. Like you probably do create more decks and you kind of guide the potential client through what you would do. But I think it's a much different game than like going and like creating all this stuff, which feels like it probably requires more time, more effort, more resources to go and make something versus like just taking what's in your brain and just like putting it into a deck and doing that.
I understand that. I think it harkens to a larger conversation of like respect for the agencies and like what we are doing, what these people are doing in agencies matters, right? The brands can't be stepping on the little guys anymore, it seems like.
Yeah, because
like we do these things like we call it chops. Like we, you know, we kind of belittle ourselves at some of these moments here. But what we're doing and what a lot of these great agencies that get on these lists are actually providing real sales, real revenue for these brands, solving an actual business problem as well as creativity. Like solving a business problem is so important too.
Right. Speaking of solving business problems, there's something we got to talk about. It hit the news wire right before we went live.
Snuck this one in here, Jack.
Snuck this one in here. We got to talk about it. So Wendy's adds media. This is the headline from Ad Age. John Springer and Ewan Larkin on this story. Wendy's adds media to WPP's remit. For those that don't know what remit means, it pretty much to the work that they're doing.
Right.
They get media. WPP was already doing creative, had a long-standing relationship, I think almost 14 years with VML. And VML is remaining, obviously, as the creative agency. Mm-hmm. And Wendy's decided, we've been with Publicis, and then they put up the media for review.
Wow.
Publicis said we will decline to participate. And then it was between Omnicom and WPP, and WPP wins that business for the media account, and now Wendy's has creative and media under WPP.
All in one. Now, who has social? Do you know that?
Do you know that?
I think it's Tombras, right? Is it
I
don't know.
I think Wendy's
Who
social.
has social AOR?
Social AOR agency. Why'd you whisper at me
Because I don't want
as
them
if
to
nobody
hear
could hear?
Because they're not supposed to hear that part.
I don't know exactly who it is.
Okay.
We're looking at it right now. There's no news.
Maybe they don't have.
Someone can fact check us.
Let us know who has
Anyways,
social.
but it's a big account.
Basically all under one roof.
Yes.
Here. But what stood out to you more so than WPP? Another win for Sydney Rose, the media world here. Great stuff for them. What else stood out to you?
Well, there a moment in the article, a little bit deeper down the article, Ross. There's a Brian Lesser. If you want to control find Brian Lesser here. The comment here, if we can read this together.
Can't read that.
That paragraph. WPP pitch included. Ross, go ahead.
WPP pitched a model in which Wendy's retains control of its data through a private network rather than relying on agency-owned data platforms, said Brian Lesser, CEO of WPP Media. The multi-year deal includes an outcomes-based component linking a portion of WPP's compensation to business results, he added.
Wow.
So this is one of the top 3 ongoing stories, I would say, in the advertising and marketing world.
Outcomes-based billing?
How is billing and pricing going to happen?
Yeah.
This is like one of the top 3 stories for the people that actually are deep in this work and deep in this world.
We're in it now.
And we had Dooley Tombras, who is the president of indie agency Tombras, on the show, and he predicted for 2027 there will be more outcomes-based pricing models. It's inevitable, I believe he said. So tying compensation for agencies to business results,
bring it on,
is what is happening. We had Michael Farmer, who is an agency pricing
guru,
business executive legend, and he kind of said the same thing. Like, agencies have been underpricing themselves for so long, and they need to change it to being a more flexible model where if they're doing work that grows your business and it's working, they should have results to that. Equally on the flip side, they should be not legally, like accountable from a financial perspective for down years. The opposing side to that, Gino.
Yes.
Do you know the opposing side?
No, enlighten me.
So the opposing side says, well, it's kind of a little bit more complex than like we made good ads so our revenue went up. Like, it's not like a business like Wendy's is so complex. who's to say which marketing channel, who's to say which effort, who's to say which leader, what siloed part of the organization is responsible for the growth?
Oh, we got good tools nowadays, Jack.
We have good tools nowadays.
We don't. No.
We don't.
But
supposedly they're betting on the fact that they can, do this. I think maybe like this might be part of it too. In that paragraph, they talk about setting up a secure data network for Wendy's. That was kind of pushed back as well. Like, if you're gonna let the agency be tied to business results, they're gonna need a hell of a lot of access to your data and where things are so they can track, did this convert to sales? Are our marketing efforts work? You need to get like a ton of data, and a lot of clients probably would say, we don't wanna like put all of our, everything about us, all of our data into your secured networks. So WPP said, we'll keep it in your secure networks and we'll just access it.
And they have access to it.
Yeah.
Interesting. If they have access to it, like what's the difference? Like,
well, the difference is that if WPP has a security breach on their networks, then Wendy's data is potentially at risk.
Yeah.
Versus Wendy's keeps all of it in-house and they give access to WPP, and WPP can access it to drill into what you're talking about, which is tracking sales, tracking how marketing is converting to sales.
So it's a big win then for WPP and Sydney Rose, because when Sydney came on, obviously they were struggling. Their stock prices were crumbling, if you will, but now it seems like her big bet is on this outcomes-based billing. It's one of her big bets here, and to win this with Wendy's is a good sign.
Because that's what I think that's what the world of advertising was waiting with bated breath, Gino.
That's right,
to
Jack.
see will they be able now. They're like, it started Jaguar Land Rover. They got them to kind of sign on to a portion of it being, who knows how much of the compensation is tied to the outcome-based pricing, but they got another situation here where a client is buying into it, and now the question, of course, is going to be, will it work?
Will it work?
If WPP can turn things around for Wendy's, which is a business that has been struggling. Wendy's has been struggling quite a bit. They're looking to turn things around now, and we'll see if WPP and WPP Media can lead them to the promised land, Gino.
I like that they have creative and media.
What do you think about...
That makes sense to me. It's like, okay, well now we're really going to bet that on outcomes-based billing because we're doing the creative and the media here. We're feeling good.
There's a good quote in that article as well. Wendy's CMO, I'm forgetting her name, but she's saying, gone are the days of siloed media and creative. Something along those lines. It's not a direct quote, but essentially saying in the future, she doesn't see a world where you have creative and media siloed.
Interesting. Because if that's true, that's an issue for independent agencies.
Potentially.
Because not a lot of independent agencies have the media at scale to execute.
Yes. I wonder if she's referring to the biggest of clients, like the massive brands.
For sure. We got to ask her.
We'll have to.
We're hoping to get her on the show.
Hoping to get her on the show
this week.
Yeah. What's so funny?
What's so freaking funny back
there? The production crew has been laughing more than anyone's ever laughed before.
No, there's crickets.
And it's been consistent.
Are you saying this is boring conversation? No. That's fair.
Does this work?
Yeah.
We're laughing at Ross.
What did Ross do?
Yeah, what did I do?
It's just Ross.
Okay.
Just Ross being Ross back there.
I have an advertising marketing actual question.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is Jaguar.
How has Jaguar been? I mean, after the rebrand, was it on? Yeah. It's been a whole thing, and obviously you're talking about the Jaguar Land Rover account. Do you have any updates on how that account has been or how they're moving forward?
No, I haven't seen anything.
No, I don't even know if they technically signed the contract yet. I think that they were like, they won it, and they're I remember them talking about figuring it out. But there's a lot of discussion. That's a great question by JR, because do you remember, we all remember, Jaguar, their rebrand.
Of course.
The rebrand heard around the world.
Not many people loved it.
Not many people, it was polarizing. There's like the movement.
Did you like it?
The one side was like, this is like woke Jaguar.
Right.
Like they were leaning into being more Gen Z.
Yeah.
Which like I don't even know what that means, but that's just what crazy people say.
Yeah.
But the rebrand, I think I get it. I get it from the sense of Like Jaguar is kind of like an old person car, right?
Yeah, I would imagine. Isn't that like James Bond car?
No.
What he would drive?
James Bond is not driving a Jaguar.
Oh.
But
Aston Martin.
Aston Martin. But Jaguar to me is it could use a refresh. Like why not?
Oh, they did that.
And they did
they did that.
We'll see though. I think it's the automotive industry has got to be the hardest industry to market for. I mean, it's insane.
I mean, just take the Tesla approach and not advertise at all.
Yeah. Don't say that. Don't put any.
I mean, you don't want to do that.
Don't do that. Anything else before we wrap up? I think that's pretty much the show. We had, if you missed it and you're just joining now, Mr. Doodle, who
that was awesome.
Worked on a brand partnership. You got just Ellie and Ross having fun.
We learned that from Mr. Doodle that the man who loves to walk will walk further than the man with a destination.
So true. And then Candice Drakeford, who's the WNBA creative director, joined to talk about their new campaign celebrating 30 years of the WNBA. We got into a lot of different things, like how do you market players versus teams, fanhood, Candice being awesome. Her initials are CD.
She was destined to be a creative director, Jack.
How did I not
Predetermined.
And then Britton Upham, CEO McGarry Jesse.
Who's had enough with all the spending on spec work, on pitches.
Yeah, so they're trying to be the change they wish to see in the world. It's a problem that exists. It's talked about a lot at advertising and marketing.
So he's trying to do something.
So the issue being, of course, the amount of resources and time and energy and money that goes into these pitches is teetering on negligent. Is essentially the situation. So trying to define some standards and create sort of a committee or a group that essentially watchdogs kind of behaviors and practices when it comes to pitching for work. So
nicely done, Jack. Now, before we hop off here, Michigan won the national championship. Yeah. So let's try to figure out what an agency comp would be for Michigan.
Just gonna keep doing this.
People love this.
Okay.
I got a lot of messages about this.
Okay, Michigan is the national champion.
When was the last time they won? I can look that up.
I'm gonna say 2011.
No.
Oh,
was it really?
Oh, they never won it. They never won it with Trey Burke.
1989.
And they have their return. They're big.
They're big.
Wyden? Because Wyden's been doing pretty good this year.
I mean, like they've always been like really good. Like, I don't know about Wyden.
Okay, your turn, and then I'll shit on your.
I don't know
choice.
about Wyden. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's blasphemous.
Mother. Just based on being the best, because that was my pick for agency of the year.
Let's see.
The best in the country.
Yeah. Who's the best right now? Rethink just one?
How about Goodby?
Goodby? They were on the list. Were they on a list this year?
I don't think so.
I like Goodby.
I'm just thinking of agencies that were great.
Yeah, in the 80s.
In the 80s.
Let us know who you guys think.
With all the different mergers and consolidations and move arounds, it's hard to it's hard to pick an agency that was even the same as it is now and just as relevant.
When did the Fab Five? Go ahead, Ross.
Goodby was on number 9 on the A list.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we'll call it Goodby.
Was that for this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Goodby.
Can I throw BBDO as a suggestion
for
the Michigan?
Nice.
Because they were hot back in the day. I feel like they're coming back a little bit. So you got the past and the present at play with this.
Nice, Ross.
That's a good call.
Also, Ross, most Super Bowl ads in the Super Bowl this year, BBDO.
Oh.
So if you base it off that,
yeah,
that's a good one. Ross goes, Michigan is BBDO.
Nice.
Like that. That's
I like
probably
that
the best
too.
one. That's probably
Let's
the best
make a
one.
graphic.
We'll make a graphic. Yeah, we'll do a graphic.
We'll do a graphic.
Who's going to work on that?
I will.
Who's going to Canva?
I'll Canva it, yeah.
All right, that's the show, Gino. We'll see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We are back live 11 a.m. Eastern time. The marketing news show you deserve on LinkedIn Live. We're on YouTube and we're on X. We will see you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.